assistant. And boy, you got some guys who are not very focused this time of year. And, you know, I particularly, just for you, I particularly like to schedule this type of game right before they go home so they feel good about themselves. You know, everybody gets to play. We feel good about ourselves. And then we come out and only have a 5-point lead at halftime, and yet the statistics showed us dominating them, but the score didn't. And so, I mean, 21 rebounds to 47 and only 4 offensive boards is not bad at all. You know, our 17 turnovers was a big reason for that. We did some careless things, and all with the basketball, but you know, we finally got a good home stretch coming up, and I'm hoping we can take advantage of it. You know, fellas, I don't know if you realize this is our 4th home game in what 12 games. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
4th home game in 12. So I tweaked the schedule a little bit, but 90% of it was done when I got here. So the Houston game is mine, and the trip to Mexico is mine, plus this game right here. The Cedarville game was part of the package from Mexico, so y'all know that. Yeah, so anyway, but you know, I like the way we rebounded the basketball for sure. We shot almost 53%, but that was all drives to the basket. Anything from the perimeter was not very good. And again, I think one of the first things that goes when you're not as focused as you should be, and these kids, to their you know, even though I got after them some, to their credit, when you play Utah at 8 o'clock on Thursday, our time, and then you play 4:30 here. And even though we didn't work on practice very much, I really don't think I should have. I think that I got to worry more about their legs than anything, particularly if I'm not here. I have to worry about that. So, I mean, we played a lot of times. I looked out there, we had 3 freshmen and a sophomore. And I got to constantly remind myself of that this is a very young and somewhat immature team, and I mean that in terms of both basketball and emotions. And we've got 5 seniors, and then we got a lot of young kids. So anyway, I'm happy to have a win. I'm happy they got a win. I like the way Wes really took it to the basket today. I thought he did a good job. I thought Monty woke up the second half. He was not very visible the first half, and you know, but he did a good job in the second half. And you know, we've got to get more production from defense from a lot of guys. And I mean that. And I think you saw a couple of guys drive to the basket today. That would never happen these last 5 or 6 teams that I've had. So that's something that I am really working on and with them and trying to get them to buy into.
You had to like, though, how your team kind of adjusted in that second half to, you know, Wes in particular attacking the rim and Amani getting his open looks better, because in the first half you guys got those offensive rebounds, and in the game you had 15 but only 13 second chance points. So you had to like just how you guys had attacked and 69.6% shooting in the second half was pretty ridiculous. I mean,
well, you know, I just read a book, Toughness, by Jay Bilas. And Jay Bilas, am I saying Jay?
Jay Bilas.
And Jay Bilas, you know, I'm a big Duke basketball program fan. And in there he talks about how, you know, of course, I don't know if many people know this, Mike Krzyzewski went like 3 or 4 years with 3 straight losing years, and all the Duke fans were hollering for his scalp. And Tom Butters, the AD, gave him 2 more years, and the 4th year they go to the Final Four, and the rest is history. And one of the things Bilas said was, you know, Krzyzewski was adamant that whether they're playing North Carolina or Sisters of the Poor, you better play hard. You better play hard. Now, when you have 5 or 6 McDonald's All-Americans on the team and somebody's not playing hard, you can get out, you know, and not have much of a drop-off. But, I mean, I would like for that same thing. I've got on them today about not playing with focus because some of the players that don't get to play should have gotten more minutes today. And I wanted them to get more minutes going into the Christmas holidays.
Yeah,
Because they're there at practice every day. I'm talking about the walk-ons and maybe a couple of others. Now, there were some subs I gave opportunities to that did not take advantage of their time, you know. So Yes, sir, you were gonna ask me a question?
Sorry about that. Your bench didn't play a whole lot of minutes. I was gonna ask, why didn't you,
Well, because, here's why. I thought that Reed Kanan had 3 turnovers in 12 minutes. And Reed had 3 in about 12 at Utah. So like I said, Reed, you got 6 turnovers in 24 minutes. And Ray got 16, which that's about what he normally gets. You know, Vic Bermudez has to get some confidence in a shot. He's supposed to be a very good shooter. And they left him wide open because he's like 2 for 27 now for the year. And he was one of the best, quote, best shooters out of the Rocky Mountain JUCO leagues last year. But he's a great kid. I don't know it's hard to be upset with him because he's such a fantastic human being. But he's got to come around, and when I say, you got to get this straight yourself, this is a problem you have to fix, he just nods his head and says, yes, I understand. So he's a pleasure to coach. You just wish he could play better. Niall, I didn't think Niall was in it today. He had 2 turnovers, 8 minutes. And there's some games he's played very well. I took Gordon, I didn't play because I didn't like, just so y'all know, he's been hurt, and he said he wanted to try today. I still don't like the way he's moving. And I don't want him hurt going into these Division I games. So I told him at that halftime, I said, Gordon, I'm not going to play. Just continue to get better. And it's not nothing personal. You didn't do anything wrong out there. I just don't like the way you're moving. He hurt his hand. He had a nasty fall on Monday. He tried to block somebody's shot, and he actually wrapped around their, Amani shot fake and had his bend, and he came over and actually just fell about 4 or 5 feet down to the ground. I was worried he broke something. Very nasty fall. And Kendall Ramlell, 9 minutes, that's about normal for him. So Gordon didn't get minutes, and really the 2 that didn't get a lot of minutes are Gordon and Niall and Victor. We were playing him more than we normally. We have been playing him more than we did tonight.
was it also because your starters were capitalizing? I mean, you had 4 of them.
Well, I was not happy with my starters. At 32-27, I'm not very happy with them. But I thought that, my kind speech at halftime, woke them up, and they were playing better. I think they scored the first 2 points of the half, and then we went on like a 12-0 run, if I'm not mistaken. So they did what I asked them to do. They came out and played or got it done. And then we made some subs at about the 15-minute mark, and I want to say it was 46-32, something like that. And the next thing I know, it was 46-38 or 46-40 with some subs in there. And hey, and that's in 3 minutes or 3.5 minutes. Time to make a change, and then,
As a coach for someone that's been in the game for 38, 30 some odd
36.
36 years, how do you then make the kids understand they need to not wait until a halftime speech or you to?
Well, let me tell you something. I've had other teams like this too. Now the very special ones, the one that won the championships, you don't have to give this talk very often. I mean, it's just there. It's called maturity. It's called commitment. I mean, and that I've told the kids, you got to grow up, man. Just because we gave you a scholarship, we may miss. You may not be a Division I player. There's kids leaving Division I programs all over the country, and they bounce around, and finally everybody says, hey, he didn't have what it takes. And so a lot of this is mental. The whole, whether it be football, basketball, or just the gentlemen, just you guys going and doing a good job at your respective papers. It takes hard work, and you got to be tough. You got to be mentally focused and committed and tough if you're going to do a good job. And really, that's what I'm preaching to these gentlemen. You guys got to get tougher, and you got to focus and commit yourself to the task at hand. You are basketball players at Texas State. Otherwise, you'd never be here. You wouldn't come from California, Monty, to go to Texas State if you weren't on scholarship. Love and respect the game, and I keep preaching that to them, and I hope it's going to get in there, and make them realize that if we take away basketball, what are you? I mean, are you lost? Yeah, most of you will be lost if we take away basketball away from you. Or whether it be you tear a ligament or you can't play anymore, whatever the case may be, you're in a car wreck or whatever.
What do you hope to see of the team the next time you see them when they come home?
Well, first of all, they're going to go home for 4 days. They'll be back on the 26th, and I sure hope that they're in pretty decent shape. We have 3 home games coming up, and I sure like to take advantage of it. We've won 2 out of 4, and we haven't beat a Division I at home. We beat 2 Division I's on a neutral court.
You got 3 D1s coming up?
Yeah, we got Long Island and the 2 conference games. And I suspect that Long Island's been I know they're struggling a little bit right now. That's 3 straight NCAA tournaments they went to. I think Arkansas State, I have a great respect for Steve Shields at Little Rock. I know they're not as successful as State. Our State has played some pretty good basketball against some pretty good teams. I mean, by the way, our Utah game, that score indicative, that was that may be the largest margin of the game, that 19 points. Our guys, I want to say, help me out, Rod, we were down 4 with about 11
Yep,
to go?
it was 38-34 with 12:04.
12, okay. And then that little guard went off on us and had 6 or 8, 9 points, and that again is what I've got to tell the guys. Quit dropping your shoulders when they have a 6 or 8. This is a game of runs. That's the immaturity you hear me talking about. And some leadership. We got to get some leadership. Some people, that say, I've heard Krzyzewski say this in a clinic. Internal leadership may be the most important factor to a winning team. Obviously talent, both athletically and skill, but there's been a lot of pretty good teams not have some leadership and not come near what they're capable of doing. You can only do so much from the bench. There's got to be some guys saying, hey, get after it. And we were fortunate, particularly the last 5 or 6 years, when back at SFA, that I could count on some pretty good kids leading us, and we develop that or get that, A or B.
Coach,
Yes,
do
sir.
you think there's anybody on this team that you get that internal leadership from?
Well, let me tell you something. A guy that really, this freshman now, Smith's got is a great kid. He's a great kid, a wonderful kid. He can be, but he can if he's not playing well. And I'd like to see it from Phil. I'd like to see it from Wes, older guys, or Corey, Joel, Gordon. But Gordon's more so worried about getting on the floor. And when we have our full slate of people, you got Caven, Corey, and Joel all wanting to play 4. So though Caven does play some 3 for us, it just depends on the other team's 3 men, because he's still struggling with the defense. And that sometimes when y'all may know this, y'all probably played high school sports. How many coaches really get on, if they're not, how many teams have more than one really good player? Not many. So I always said this to my recruiters. I said, if you take a kid who's a great player at a high school and his coach don't get on him, he's going to struggle for a while when you get him, because no longer is he the only great player on the team. You go and get a player from DeSoto, everybody's got their rear end chewed out, and therefore that's how come so many of them succeed, because they know how to go hard. Because if you don't do it there, sit on the bench and we'll get somebody else in there. That's what happens. Competition, same thing that makes this country great, competition.